Hi, ladies. Thank you for tuning in to Joy for Midlife Women. I'm Cheryl Jones, your host, and I'm excited to bring you interviews with women, inspiring women who share how they're living their best life with topics that help you embrace a great life at this stage. So, women, we are caregivers, grandmothers. We have taken care of our families. We are, some of us retired, but still working. We have our work life, and we have our personal goals as well. And I think you probably often feel stressed or have an anxiety, or maybe even have emotional tiredness. Well, my guest today is going to help us talk through these situations. My guest is Sherry Flanagan, and she is the founder of Honey Intuition Healing, which provides wellness in the terms of mindfulness and meditation. Welcome, Sherry.
Thank you for having me, Cheryl.
Thank you for coming on the program today. We want to hear about Honey Intuition Healing,
Yes.
your new business. Tell us about it.
Created Honey Intuition Healing as a seed to what I hope to be doing later on in life, which is therapy. I'm still trying to find my way as to what type of therapy I would like to do professionally once I finish school. But as of right now, I have a lot of experience in sound healing and meditation, yoga practices, Pilates, you name it, all sorts of things that you can use to help yourself when, like you said, if you're dealing with anxiety or stress or those emotional, day-to-day activities, there's things that you can do right in the comfort of your home to, bring you peace and tranquility. So that is what I'm trying to teach at Honey Intuition Healing, along with different things you can use, like singing bowls and certain crystals that help you kind of relax and, get into a deeper meditation. So that is what I try to focus on with my business and my clients.
That sounds excellent. And particularly, like we just said, with our busy lives, I think meditation and sound healing and stuff is definitely a necessary for us, self-help.
Yes.
So what things can we do with regard to this meditation? How do we get into meditation and mindfulness?
Well, sometimes it can be a little hard to get into meditation, right?
Okay.
So let's first talk about what is meditation. Meditation is just a deeper focus on a specific thing. So if you are trying to get through an anxiety attack, your focus is on trying to calm your nerves, right? So meditation, people, sometimes feel like you have to be in a certain pose or chanting. You don't have to be. You could be sitting in a chair, breathing deeply, trying to calm yourself down. That's something that helps a lot of people with anxiety. And then you can bring in sound healing to kind of, really help you get into a deeper state of meditation where your focus is now going deeper and you're moving deeper into your body and you're trying to feel your way through those emotions. So different things you can do when you're meditating. It can look many different ways.
That sounds good, because it sounds like we can incorporate that into our daily schedules if we just focus and say, okay, I need to do this for myself. Is that it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. And so how does one get started? Do you have any examples or?
Well, definitely breath work.
Okay.
So
Breathing.
like I was saying, breathing. And, when you are trying to get into a deeper meditation, you can go into any type of pose. You can use a mat, and you can have different lights. For example, blue brings a lot of calming energy to people, so you can have a blue light in your room. And you can begin that way by just trying to set the environment so that you can then deep breathe and then get into your meditation. So that's how you would start, by creating the environment that you need to thrive in to meditate.
Okay. That's wonderful. So is that what brings us into mindfulness? Well, how are they using that term? Because we hear mindfulness
Exactly.
a lot these days.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So mindfulness is just exactly what it means. It's being mindful of those day-to-day activities. So often we wake up and we are just going through the motions, grabbing our coffee, getting our kids ready, going to school, going to work. Mindfulness just means we're taking a step back and we're really focusing on those moments that we are doing all of those things. So we're a little bit more conscious when we're doing things. We're not just kind of running on autopilot. Mindfulness just means, you're constantly trying to stay present
Right.
and not focus on the next thing that you have to get done. It's just finding peace and staying, like I said, present in the moment. So that's something that can bring a lot of people, a lot of peace, because if you're constantly worried about the next thing you have to do, it never ends. So
Right.
just, enjoying the present moment a little bit more. And I think that's what a lot of people, are trying to do, because everyone has a lot of stressors today. So that's really what mindfulness is about, is just trying to be in the moment.
In the moment. That's
Yes.
good. That, and it's not always something that we easily grasp,
Yes.
because we're doers as women. And we have to think about, for everyone else, we have to think about what they have to stay on top of as
Exactly.
well. And we can forget that. So I like how you're saying it's just help yourself, calm down, get back into the present, stay in the presence, right? So if there's 3 things that, when I wake up in the morning that would help me to run that day smoother than the norm,
Yes.
what would we do?
Well, first, look at your goals. What is it that you are trying to accomplish for the day?
Okay.
And I like to start my day off by, positive affirmations. So journaling.
Okay.
So, looking in the mirror, saying to yourself, I am beautiful. Something as easy as that could be, a
Okay.
good start to your day. Positive affirmations. While, like I said, bringing it back to mindfulness, while you're putting on your jewelry in the morning, while you're doing your makeup, it can start there, looking in the mirror, saying positive affirmations to yourself, and then, journaling. How do you feel? You're going to wake up different every day. People don't wake up happy all the time.
That's right.
You wake up in different moods. So constantly checking in with yourself, being present about how you feel, and then, just journaling about it. And like I said, then moving into what it is your goals are. So it's like focusing on your goals, but then also constantly coming back to the present moment.
Okay. I like that. That's almost like sitting down with that cup of tea in the morning, and instead of going over your to-do list, just think about
Enjoying
yourself and breathe, right?
Yes.
Really think and be mindful.
Yes.
I like that. I like that. And you're making it sound very easy to incorporate into
Exactly.
a daily schedule.
Because like you said, having your cup of tea, thinking about the different notes and the flavors, and that's sort of mindfulness, really enjoying the moment.
Okay. Now, are there physical benefits associated with meditation?
Absolutely. So people who meditate are more likely to be less stressed.
Yeah, we need that.
It definitely. And, clearer thinking, because you're not so worried about everything all at once.
Okay.
It helps you take a step back and, like I said, kind of reorganize and just kind of go with the flow, So it definitely has a lot of health benefits.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what services do you offer with Honey Intuition?
Well, with Honey Intuition, I do a lot of oracle readings.
Okay.
So I help you tap into the current energy that you may be feeling, and I try to educate you on that.
Okay.
I focus on the 7 chakras, and I also focus on different crystals that have different properties that can help you also while wearing them. and sort of educating people who are maybe newer to mindfulness and self-help. Just trying to get that out there and help people understand the basics of what meditation mindfulness is and how to, just do that deeper dive into yourself, into your everyday emotions and how you're feeling.
Okay. Okay. Do you offer this in group sessions, workshops, or
Well, I prefer
one-on-one?
to do one-on-one.
It's more of a personal.
It's more exactly.
And virtual or in person?
And this would be virtual or in person.
Okay.
I'm currently trying to work with a yoga studio, so later on down the road, I would love to offer group classes because some people thrive in one-on-one, and some people love getting together with a community of people that have the same goal, and they thrive better in group sessions.
Okay.
So that is something for, future plans, absolutely.
Excellent, excellent. So you mentioned something about sound therapy.
Yes.
How do you utilize that with your business or for meditation?
Yes. So sound therapy is something that you do when you use different frequencies to tap into the different chakras. A lot of people are familiar with that rainbow that you see that has the 7 different chakras that are associated with different parts of the body.
Okay.
So different frequencies help you tap into different energy fields that are emitting constantly from your body. My favorite bowl I have here, a Tibetan singing bowl, is associated with the crown chakra. So this emits a certain frequency that is associated with that part of the body.
Okay.
So for example, if you're meditating, you're doing deep breathing, and you go and you hit your crown chakra bowl, it's constantly working in that area, which is actually located 6 inches above the head, the crown chakra.
Oh, okay.
And crown chakra is associated with constantly being connected to source, the earth, and the everyday intuitive nudges that we get. So as sound therapy and meditation, the crown chakra is very important to keep, clear. And so I constantly am working with that frequency.
Wow. Okay, could we hear that sound?
Absolutely. All right.
A demonstration.
Demonstration.
Okay.
And here we go. Some bowls, if they're bigger, you can keep the sound going longer by constantly moving your wand around it. If you are really in a deep meditation, you can do it that way, or you can just do a few taps. And then as you're doing that, sort of visualizing the color too that chakra represents. So visualizing the color purple as your eyes are closed and you're doing your deep breathing, kind of help you really get into a deeper meditation.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a particular amount of time one should spend to meditate to have an effect? Or?
I believe, you only need about 15 minutes in the morning. This isn't something that you have to do for hours, but there are people who are very skilled in getting into a very deep trance and, they can meditate for over an hour.
Wow.
But for beginners, it's very hard. It is very hard to kind of get into a place where you're not feeling anything. A lot of people tell me, oh, well, I'll sit down and start breathing and then my nose will start itching, or they'll get distracted. So I say for beginners, 10 to 15 minutes, if you can really tune everything out and just focus, that's a great amount of time.
Okay.
It can bring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does the sound therapy help you to stay focused, or it just helps to bring in that energy?
It's helping to rebalance your energy.
Rebalance your energy.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yes,
Very good. Because I've heard that too, and myself, you could sit quietly and try to meditate, and then that's when a lot of thoughts start flowing.
Exactly.
And you're fighting against that.
Yes.
You have to experience that.
You
I
just
guess.
have to experience it, and then with time, you'll learn to kind of tune those out, and it
Okay.
just gets easier with practice. So
That's
that's what I love to teach, absolutely.
very good, very good. So that's sound healing. And then you mentioned something about the chakras and the
Yes.
colors,
Yes.
relationship to the body.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
Absolutely. So there are 7 chakras that most people are associated with that are usually associated with our everyday senses, the 5 senses.
Okay.
And so working on those different frequencies that are, like I said, emitting from your body, helping them stay balanced, kind of helps you with your overall well-being. So for example, red, it starts at the lowest one. Red is the root chakra that has to deal with your security, feeling stable. And then you move up into yellow. That's what you call the solar plexus. That is the energy of your willpower. And how do you, right? Because you're going from the root, okay? If your root is balanced, you feel stable, then you can move forward and take action, moving up into yellow. Then moving up into orange, the sacral chakra, that is how you incorporate your willpower with other people. Now you're getting into your creativity. How do you create? How do you work with other people? Because you're moving up. Now you're going from the sacral to the heart chakra, the most important one. We know that the energy from our heart field can spread out to 200 feet. That's why sometimes if you're around someone and they're grieving, or if you, come into, you can feel it. So the heart chakra is the most important one. You can work on all different ones at different times, but the heart chakra definitely is associated with the color of green, and that is the one that you want to definitely, work on and definitely keep open, because it can help you balance the other 6, which is in the throat chakra. That's the color blue. Most people actually are familiar that blue is the color associated with great communication. You might hear people say, oh, if you want to, make a good representation or have good conversation, wear the color blue. That's because it's associated with the throat chakra.
Okay.
And then deeper blue is the third eye. That is the energy of, constantly being in tune, like I said, mindfulness, constantly feeling and knowing what you're feeling. And then as you move up, the crown chakra, that is your connection to the divine, the earth, everyone. So that is the 7 chakras.
This is very, very good information, very helpful information. How would women, if they want to know more about your services or even about just mindfulness, the topic, how would they get in contact with you?
Or they can get in contact with me by visiting honeyintuition.com, where I have, like I said, different crystals. I talk about the different chakras, and I talk about how beneficial sound healing is, and that's where, you can learn more.
Okay, so you have a lot of information on your website, and I have glanced at it. I have to look at it more.
Yes.
And so tell us about the crystals that you're mentioning.
Yes, so different crystals are associated with the different chakras, and they can assist with balancing your energy, because we know that crystals, they emit energy. And this is something that, they can scientifically see through different devices. So wearing certain crystals can help you balance those energies even better. So for example, green crystals would help with the heart chakra, because it's that color. Purple, as I have here, amethyst. A lot of people are familiar with amethyst. It's recommended for calming and soothing, helping you tap into the chakra. And it's also really good for rest, promoting rest, the color purple. So a lot of people are familiar with that crystal. I also have here citrine, yellow, and orange agate, which are associated with joy, right? The color orange is associated with happiness. So I also believe in, they would call it color therapy, where certain colors can help you tap into certain energies, just like the crystals.
Okay. Very interesting. And so you also provide crystals, as you say. And we see women and men of all ages wearing more crystals these days.
Absolutely.
And seeking them out, you know?
Yes.
So very good. And it's also very helpful to have some background on them
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
So they can contact you for those. You
Absolutely.
Can be contacted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Whatever you're called to, whatever color, that's usually a key sign of what it is that you need to be working on. So if you go on my website and say you click on a specific color that you're drawn to, you will be able to get more information on what it is and what chakra it works with and the key words that are associated with that crystal.
Exciting. That's very good.
Yes.
So one thing we didn't talk about, we've talked about stress, anxiety, trying to be calm. But what about pain? Is there any way, because a lot of people live with pain different ways, physical pain, emotional pains, or whatever. How could this help?
Well, definitely helping with pain. Like I was saying, the heart chakra, that's where that energy would come from.
Okay.
So if someone is grieving or if they have a lot of trauma, definitely working on healing your heart chakra.
Okay.
So doing those meditative practices and constantly trying to release, deep breathing, focusing on that energy and releasing what it is you're focusing on. Because when you're in pain, you're usually dwelling on, something that has happened to you or something that has happened to someone else. So if you are constantly in that mindfulness energy of surrendering your pain back to, back into the earth or to the divine or to whoever it is that you believe in, constantly surrendering your pain is going to help heal that heart chakra and keep it open so that you can feel lighter, because pain often feels heavy. It feels right where that energy field is, the heart chakra. So that is something that definitely could help with grief and pain.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good. And I guess that goes along with depression.
Absolutely.
As well, right?
Yes.
Sounds like this is some good techniques to help with,
yes,
with depression, besides contacting your medical professionals.
Exactly. I was just going to say, I
well.
always like to say, this is not to replace, if you have some deeper issues. This is kind of to incorporate into, your everyday life,
That's right.
But definitely always, if you are really struggling, you always, contact your medical doctor.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes. Self-help tips along with your medical professional
Exactly.
guidance.
Yes.
Right? Anything else that you wanted to talk about that I haven't brought up or asked you about?
Well, just what I have planned. So, I have a lot of experience in community work and bringing people together. So I would love to create an astronomy club where I can teach kids about astronomy and work with professors to get a community built where, you just get people together and you're learning about different things and, just kind of tap into that.
Right.
So sort of find, people that are interested in it and then get those people together and form a community or some sort of club. So.
You sound like you will do that.
Yes.
Yes. And that's also a very interesting topic, astrology.
Yes.
So anything.
Astronomy. I'm sorry.
Astronomy. Okay. Astronomy.
Astronomy.
Okay. Yes, astronomy. Okay. Anything else?
Well, just thank you for letting me introduce my business. Like I said, this is the seed to what I hope to be doing later on in life. As a future therapist, I would love to incorporate this type of practices into, what it is I'm learning in school about general psychology as well.
Okay.
So thank you again for letting me, share what I have learned and what has helped me. and, give other people the opportunity to discover it for themselves.
That's wonderful. Again, I appreciate you coming on. And you're a mother. You're a mother,
Yes.
working mother, caregiver. So something about this is working
Absolutely.
for you because I can see it through you,
Yes.
and I can feel the peace in here. And the calmness. So I take note on that.
Thank you.
I take note on that. So I thank you for bringing your learnings to us and talking about your services, because it really sounds like mindfulness practices and sound therapy, they have some very substantial benefits for us.
Absolutely.
Right? So, I found, thinking about your services and everything, I found a little mantra here. It says, mindfulness isn't difficult, but what's difficult is to be mindful. Remember that.
Yes.
Thank you again for tuning in to Joy for Midlife Women. I do hope that you found something helpful. And for more joy, I offer you the Joy Magazine. It's available at www.joymagazine.com. And until next month, stay joyful.